Canada marked its 150th anniversary in 2017, religion was absent on the Hill. That day in Ottawa began with a celebration of welcome and diversity, and the opening celebration featured musicians and guest speakers. If there were any clergy present or any prayers or hymns, the official schedule fails to note it. Other examples would include changes to laws against homosexuality, same-sex marriage, and abortion, which were once politically supported by traditional understandings of Christian morality and Scripture. And today it is much easier to get a divorce or access to birth control than in the past, when church teachings prevailed against those things.
So, what are some of the current day examples of Canada becoming more secular?
Canada's taking its role as a secular country more seriously these days. That includes in Manitoba, where the government is talking about replacing the Christian-like prayer that opens each session with a moment of silence that recognizes the diversity of the province and the fact that not everyone is religious or Christian. Now, it's not perfect. Christians still have two of their most important holy days, Good Friday and Christmas, recognized as official holidays, although Christmas has become more of a cultural event. But members of other religions still have to ask for time off work to mark their holy days. And in a secular country that's supposed to be neutral on religion, having a day off for Christians on Good Friday doesn't sound fair.
What about individual Canadians? What's happening at that level?
That's an interesting question. Although Canada is a secular country, many Canadians are still very religious or spiritual. Unlike in the U.S., where there's lots of updated polling about religion, in Canada we don't have that kind of thing. So I had to go back to a 2019 Angus Reid poll that found that 66% of Canadians believed in God or a higher power, and 61% believed in life after death. 2 years earlier, in 2017, the same pollster found that 54% of Canadians said personal faith and religious belief was important to them in terms of defining their personal identity. 59% said it helped them overcome challenges in life. And meantime, in 2019, Statistics Canada found that about 4 million Canadians said they practice a religious or spiritual activity weekly. This could be attending a worship service, could be praying, engaging in religious practices such as meditation, communing with nature, or walking a labyrinth. And by the way, the world is still pretty religious too. Collectively, almost 76% of the world's 8 billion people identified with a religion in 2020, with the two largest religions being Christianity and Islam. As for Canada, we won't know where things are at today until another survey is done, but we do know that there's still a lot of Canadians who practice some form of religion or spirituality.
So, what does this mean then for religion in Canada as a whole?
Maybe we're heading into what scholar David Seljak calls a post-secular Canada. If, after the 1960s, Canada started becoming more secular when it came to not privileging one religion, the Christian religion, today we are living in a country that doesn't want to ignore religion at all, but rather to unabashedly celebrate it in all its forms. That means all religions, including the minority religions like Islam, Judaism, Buddhism, and others, along with, and importantly, indigenous spirituality. And that's a good thing. It means people who might have once been reluctant to tell others they were part of beliefs other than Christianity now can feel welcome to practice their religions. And let's not forget that over 100 years ago, indigenous spirituality was against the law in this country. It was suppressed and oppressed. And it's good to see that recognized and celebrated in so many ways. Now, I know there are some Christians who wrongly interpret this as Canada being anti-Christian, and that's not right at all. It's simply a rebalancing of what had been unbalanced before in favor of Christianity. No longer does the state apparatus privilege Christians' teaching and social moral values, although we still have that pesky Good Friday holiday. And I, for one, am glad for these changes, and I think most Canadians are too. It invites us all, religious and non-religious, to feel accepted and able to work together to figure out how to live in this land with our rich tapestry of religious, spiritual, and non-religious experiences.
Now, John, I know that you can't predict the future, but where do you think this could be heading?
That is hard. If I had to guess, I would say that the traditional way many have practiced religion in the past is waning. And by that I mean defining religiosity as going to church, synagogue, mosque, gurdwara, or temple, or some other place of worship. Instead of that, instead of making a building the focus of the sacred, I think more and more Canadians may be doing what scholar William Clausen James wrote about in the 1960s. And that's when he suggested instead of one location for the sacred, a building like a church, Canadians in the future would have many sacred locations, like a park, in the mountains, by the lake, or doing things like meditation or meeting to discuss spirituality with friends over a beer. So today it's hard to generalize about a single sacred anchoring point like a place of worship. Instead, there are many locations of the sacred for Canadians, locations that are hard to count, hard to measure, things that are, as Clausen James put it, multiple, fluid, and impossible fix in any permanent or lasting way. So one thing I can say for sure about the future is that, well, people may not be going to religious services as much as they used to. Religion and spirituality in all its forms is not going away.
Thank you, John.
Thank you.
Jazz hands.
Look at us.
Look at us. Flawless. That's interesting.
One
I
take.
like the Clausen James perspective on that.
That was something that I discovered years ago, and I thought, wow, this guy was pressing it. But
Because there's this like panic of like,
you and I